to be honest, don't really know what I'm doing.
He was often a player that I would buy on Football Manager.
It's already a terrible reason.
From Jon Snow, Matt puts Dan's wardrobe to shame.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Look at him, the cat that got the cream.
Ian Taylor said it was the worst thing he'd ever seen in his life. Monk, really, I know he's manager. What kind of say is
Gary Monk, 5 out of 10.
I haven't finished yet. I cannot believe Gabriel Bonner-Horst.
That's crazy,
That's
isn't
terrible.
it?
Yeah, we may well have lost listeners early doors again with a long-winded intro. Go, shoot. Hello, welcome back to the Villa View podcast, episode 8 with me, Dan Bardell and Thomas Julian. Slightly earlier than he was last week, but still, in the eyes of Dan Bardell, late.
I think you're going to have to kind of recalibrate a little bit. You know, I've battled the London traffic and the rain to be here, and I think you need to cut me a little bit of slack at some point.
Maybe. Not sure it'll be today. It is very, very rainy, a bit gloomy, but football is back tomorrow, which does put joy into the soul. Villa playing 2 games tomorrow, one against Telford and one against Kiddie. Local team, relatively local teams away, so Villa will be sending 2 squads. I've gone straight into it again.
You have?
This week. Excited that the football season is beginning again.
And rightly so. It's, I mean, we mentioned it last week on the pod that last week's pod was the last one where football wasn't on the cards. Now it's back, 2 games tomorrow night and a bumper start.
It is.
And yeah, it's just really exciting, isn't it? I feel giddy.
Giddy, good word. The Villa fans are probably wanting to know which game John Terry is going to be playing in tomorrow, and to be honest, I can't reveal that because I do not know, so absolutely no use to Villa fans at all.
Guess right now, which one is it?
I'd go with Kiddie.
Okay.
The slightly bigger team.
I think so.
Kiddie are bigger than Telford, aren't they?
Yeah.
Not sure of the league differential. In my eyes, Kidderminster.
Kidderminster are a traditional league team, aren't they? A bit more than Telford, I think.
Yeah, I know someone that used to play for Kidderminster as well, but I think he only played like 3 or 4 games. Just an interesting nugget there. Nick Heath,
yeah,
his name was. I used to buy him on Football Manager when I was playing that game. Still do play it, but he's obviously not there anymore because now he's gone into a different business.
Was that a... Did the board ever have problems with you spending money on that, or was it like 3 grand?
He was like free. I used to buy my other mate who played for West Brom at the time as well. They never amounted to anything, to be honest, no.
I mean, Football Manager got it right again.
Yeah.
Both of those games are actually on YouTube tomorrow night. So
are you sure they're both on?
Yes.
I am. That was an apprehensive
according,
you made a big shout there. I'm not convinced.
According to the Birmingham Mail, they're both on. According to the Birmingham Mail...
You chucking the Birmingham Mail under the bus there.
No.
Just in case you're wrong.
According to Matt Kendrick...
and you named him as well?
I'm joking. I think all pre-seasons are on... are on YouTube, not the Villa View.
Not
YouTube.
the Villa View, no.
Not yet.
If only.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they both are. Let's go 73% sure.
Wow. Jesus.
So, yeah, if you're not local to the area, you can catch up with some football on your computer.
Yeah, I'll be watching one of them. I'll be watching whichever one John Terry plays in, I would imagine.
Depending on whether you can get both of them or not.
Yeah, depending on whether... They'd be silly not to put the one on that John Terry's playing in, to be honest, because that's the one that's going to gauge the most interest, I would have thought. Probably a good time. One of the questions that came in was, has my opinion on you changed? And we're now 8 podcasts in. John Inslee, friend of the channel, asked what my review of you would be. Now, I haven't actually wrote anything down or prepared an answer for this. I think you've been steady. I'd say you've stayed at the same kind of level.
Wow.
Last week, I think, was one of your better podcasts because you actually made a good footballing point at one point. I can't remember what that was.
It was the fact that we wouldn't
shocked me.
We wouldn't sell Alan Hutton to a rival.
Yeah, that was a good footballing point, and it was something I hadn't thought of. So that was the first time I thought this guy's gone up a notch. That puts him at notch 1.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I feel like I've raised the bar. In fact, I don't think the first one was a 5 out of 10. Was it 5 out of 10 or
5
4?
out of 10 you got. Yeah, and that was me being generous. That was me being kind.
Was it? Well, you can decide for yourself. You can watch at home or listen. Thank you to everybody that is listening actually on iTunes. I was having a chat with somebody last night, and we are 84th in the UK for sports and recreation podcasts, which is absolutely amazing.
Out of 100, is it?
I don't know. You've got to get into the 100, haven't you?
Is there only 100 sports podcasts
maybe.
on iTunes?
Even so, we're above 16 others then.
That's good.
So thank you so much to those that are listening, subscribing, and obviously reviewing as well. We haven't even started football yet.
No.
So to have broken the top 100 is great, and stick with us. And send us everything that you'd like to hear and the questions and comments and that kind of thing. And hopefully we'll keep going throughout the season.
Really, if you think about it, because we put this on YouTube as well, we're actually doing ourselves over, because that's I think around 2,000 odd have been watching the podcast on YouTube. So that's 2,000 if they weren't watching on YouTube would potentially be listening via SoundCloud or iTunes. So maybe we'd be higher.
Well, that review, the chart doesn't take into account SoundCloud either. So we'd probably be first.
Probably. It would not surprise me. Well, no, it would surprise me. It would surprise me.
Obviously, this is on YouTube now. The Villa View has been very, very busy, though you won't have seen any updates recently.
No, slow week.
There is a lot to update on, though, isn't there?
Yeah, we've realised today that we haven't put anything up on YouTube for a week, but in our defence, there hasn't been enough going on to justify a video. It'd be nice if we could do some they've signed videos, but we don't seem to want to sign too many people at the moment. The one that I've been saying is going to be happening for weeks still hasn't happened. But again, I'm going to say it for about the fourth week we're in. I believe it's very close.
Mr. Sam Johnson.
Yeah, so we've got a video prepped for that when he does hopefully sign with the information that we know.
Tony Jard, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Did another little cryptic tweet with his emojis. He loves an emoji.
He loves an emoji.
And he said he'd been playing table tennis with... Did he say?
No, it was a picture he put up last season. He was just retweeting it and teasing us a little bit, really, wasn't it?
But Sam Johnson liked it straight away, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, that's according to Mr. Lynch. Yeah, I stole that one from Matt. But yeah, like you say, it feels like it's in the offing.
Yeah, we have done a video on that, so I won't say too much about my opinion. But it's fair to say it was a bit more favourable than my opinion when we signed him in January, because as everyone knows, I am a Pierluigi Galini man.
Yeah, you
through and through.
Till you die. And have we had any more updates on his future?
He's just on loan, isn't he?
He didn't have too much of a good time at Atalanta when he went, did he? He didn't play.
He played 3 games or 4 games in the end, I found out.
Yeah, and they obviously had a very good season. They qualified for Europe.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, they were trying to sign the other keeper to a longer term.
Yeah, well, he's just there, isn't he, Galini? He's on loan for another year. He won't be coming back to Villa.
It's a strange
anytime soon.
This is a bit of a digression, but it's a strange dynamic having a longer than a year loan.
Well, yeah, you say that, but then what's happened today? Have you seen the news that James Rodriguez has gone to Bayern Munich for 2 years on loan? That seems bizarre, a 2-year loan.
This is what I mean. There's obviously a clause at the end, which means that Bayern can buy out James Rodriguez, but I don't know if I like it. 2 years on loan just seems...
He'll end up there permanently. I mean, didn't Kingsley Coman he went to Bayern on loan from Juventus and ended up on a long loan and ended up staying permanently. It does seem to be more of a thing abroad. To be fair, Rodriguez will end up at Bayern Munich and he'll be a very good player there. I would have thought just because you don't make it at Real Madrid doesn't mean you aren't a good player. He'll do well.
One player that isn't going on loan. Nice little segue there.
Yeah.
Jordan Amavi.
No, he's not going anywhere.
He failed a medical with Sevilla. They said that it was to do with his cruciate injury that happened earlier on last year.
Season before last, wasn't it?
Season before, it was. Anyway, they said that he obviously wasn't fit enough, deals off, and then they come in and try and sign him on loan,
Bizarre.
which is just a bit of a slap in the face, really, isn't it, for everybody involved? And Villa, quite rightfully, said no. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't see him rocking up at Seville anytime soon now, because I don't think Dr. Tony will deal with them, or the club will deal with them again after what they've done. It's a weird stunt to pull out of a signing because of fitness, but then say, but you know what, he's okay to come on loan. We'll pay less and have him for a year.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a real bizarre thing to do. It's not fair on the player. I've seen a few people say it's not fair on the player because he's in limbo now, and if effectively he's been given a bad name. Because you wouldn't think many other teams are going to come in now and offer the same amount of money that we were going to sell him for. So if someone does come in for him, I would say it's not going to be for more than $5 million, which at that money, I'd say it's not worth it for Villa. We paid £9 million for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think if Sevilla come in early and offered a loan with an option to buy at the end, we would have taken that, or do you think this is really that was never an option to begin with?
I don't think that was ever an option to begin with, from the sounds of it. But I don't think we'll be doing any business with them. With them now, I think they've done us over. I think Amavi will end up staying now, which I don't think he particularly wants to be in the Championship for another season. And I guess he doesn't particularly want to be in the Championship as a second choice left back and second choice left winger, which essentially will be the job that he serves. Because if we're only going to get $5 million for him, how much are we going to have to spend to get in a backup or a replacement for Amavi? So a backup for Neil Taylor and a replacement for Amavi. You'd think we'd be looking at least $3-4 million. So it's not worth it from that point of view. But then there's the other school of thought. Then Greg Evans was saying this today from the Birmingham Mail. He was saying Villa needed that 8 million for financial fair play. So we're now going to have to go and find that 8 million from somewhere else, and I'm not sure where that's going to come from.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, and something I was going to come on to later. But I mean, when Sevilla were linked with Amavi earlier on, there was a number of teams, a couple in Italy, a couple in France as well. People like PSG being kind of surreptitiously linked. I don't know whether that was agent worked or what, but hopefully there's still some room for him to go and play first team football, because like you say, it's not fair on the player that he would get his hopes up to play for an esteemed club like Sevilla and now be facing a season on the bench potentially.
If you're playing attacking football, which we all hope Villa will be doing next season, as good as I think Neil Taylor is and was for us last season, if you're playing if you're an attacking team that wants to dominate games, and you'd pick Amavi over Taylor if you're playing free flowing football, because Amavi is very good going forward. We perhaps didn't see as much of it as we should have done last season from him, but he is good going forward and he's better going forward than Taylor. But the way Steve Bruce likes to play football, Taylor was a more natural fit, and we looked much better with him in the side than we did with Amavi. Towards the tail end of the season, when Taylor was out injured, we looked all at sea at the back. So it's a difficult one for Amavi, but really I think your fullbacks, you need to rotate them. It's like people talk about having a settled back line, but Spurs, they rotate their fullbacks. Walker ended up second choice come the end of the season. But if you've got two right backs and two left backs that you can rotate, it's a very demanding position. Ideally, we'd keep both and rotate them in my eyes now.
Yeah, but that only works if the fullbacks are a similar style, I think.
True.
You've got two fullbacks there that are chalk and cheese, really. And like you said before, Steve Bruce likes to set up with a bank of four. He likes a strong back four and to win games close. And like you say, hopefully we will be playing a little bit more attacking football.
He's alluded to it, Bruce. Did you see the interview on YouTube on the Villa official? He alludes to the fact they've been working on patterns and play. He's saying when they came in, it's difficult with the Championship to work on patterns and play and get it done properly, but what this pre-season does is gives him a chance to do that. So that's encouraging to hear him say that, because, as we've said before, we certainly need to be playing a more attacking style of football come the start of the season if we want to get off to a good start.
Absolutely. There has been some great stuff come out of the pre-season tour in Portugal. There was a nice piece with James Chester on the Villa's official website. Very complimentary, obviously, of John Terry. And John Terry already asserting his kind of leadership and captaincy prowess. So much to learn for these young guys.
I mean, Chester's 28 now. You always think of him as being a bit younger. But
I didn't really mean Chester.
No, I know what you mean. But I'm saying he's 28 now, but you can see that he was giddy. So I've nicked your word from earlier, Giddy. You see that Chester had a big smile on his face, was looking forward to working with John Terry, and what that said to me, that interview, was that James Chester, if he's told he's not captain next season and John Terry is, I think he'll probably be okay with it. Yeah, I think he would understand,
and I think that's really good for the harmony of the club as well. One captain kind of graciously passes over the armband to another. That sends ripples through the club.
And in fairness, Chester can't have too many complaints if that happens. He loses the captaincy to John Terry, because when Steve Bruce came in, Tommy Elphick lost the captaincy to Chester almost immediately and never got it back even when he played. So it's fair enough if you've received something in that way, you can't complain when the same thing happens to you. But I don't think Chester's a bad egg or a complainer at all. It's not his style. He obviously knows Steve Bruce very, very well, having worked with him for a number of years at Hull. So Steve Bruce will know that Chester won't be a problem, so that's why I would expect the armband to pass over to John Terry. And I think it should, because he is one of the biggest leaders in world football.
Yeah, I agree. Scott Hogan also training hard in Portugal, which is another good sign for Villa fans everywhere. If we can see a little bit more of the Scott Hogan that was at Brentford, that's going to be a massive boost to Villa this year, hopefully.
Well, Brentford played last season a more attractive brand of football than Villa, and they probably created more chances than Villa, so that's why Hogan was scoring the goals that he did. And Codger's more of an individual player than Hogan. Hogan relies on service, and Codger was scoring a lot of goals that he made for himself. He sounded determined. He sounded like last season was, in the end, a bit of a write-off for him when he came to Villa, just because of injuries, really. Injuries were the main thing that tripped him up, but he sounded very confident that he was going to score a number of goals next season. He said he had a figure in his head that he expected to score. I think, did he say at any point it was 20 or 25 goals, or have I just made that up?
Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest.
But he's an ambitious player. You can see he's worked his way up the footballing ladder, and to end up at a team like Villa probably 5-6 years ago, he'd have laughed if you'd have told him that. So he's someone who's obviously determined to make the most of his chance, and he's a goal scorer at Championship level. He's got a very good record prior Villa.
Yeah.
In the Championship, and he'll start the season off in the team, I would have thought, Hogan.
Do you think that's because Kodja might not be fit? I know there was reports last week that hopefully he would be fit. Or do you think there's any way that those two can learn to play together and both be beneficial?
Well, I said last week when I said what team I'd play them both together and play the narrow diamond. I don't think Bruce will do that, so I don't think we'll see two up front. It wouldn't surprise me to see Kodja spend some time on the wing next season like he did at times last season. I don't think it's his best position, but I think he puts in a good shift there. He doesn't sulk on the wing, and I think he's capable of scoring goals from there. The most important thing for Hogan is that we get the creative players around him and that we get Lansbury and Horahan a bit more creative in the central midfield area as well, because then he will score goals, because on paper we've got a team that should do damage in the Championship.
Yeah, we've talked obviously a lot about strikers so far. There's one striker that Tony Jar's not keen on, supposedly, and that is Peter Crouch. He was rumoured to be one of the players that maybe Villa were looking to bring in. Somebody like Crouch, a lot of experience, obviously 100-odd goals in the Premier League as well.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
2 metre Peter. I think that's what he used to get called.
He certainly did. He didn't have his best spell at Villa, though, did he?
He was a bit hard done by, actually, when he was at Villa, because when he did come into the team under David O'Leary, he was doing well and he scored a few goals, but we had the old Angel-Vassell partnership, which David O'Leary preferred, and to be fair, they were a good partnership. But Crouch always did a good job when he came in, and he was a bit of a fan's favourite. Villa fans did warm to him in the end after a bit of a ropey start where they weren't keen on him when he first came in, and he's gone on and had a tremendous career, to be fair to him. So I think he was a player we let go too early because we were replacing with Carlton Cole, and he was absolute dog. Absolute dog, Carlton Cole. So we probably let Crouch go too early.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Obviously, he's gone on and had England caps and scored 100 goals in the Premier League, as you've alluded to. But as much as I like him and I'd be pleased with the signing, I don't think we need him.
No?
I don't think we need a striker. We've got to start. We can't spend too much money on these 30-something-year-olds, and that looks like the route we're going. But the squad is very, very bloated at the moment. We've got too many players there. We need to start shifting some, and I think it says a lot that we haven't shifted anyone yet, because I bet we're trying. It just means that people don't want some of our players, or the players are on too cushy deal at Villa and they don't want to take the pay hit. Yeah,
that's true. And Peter Crouch as well, in the reports I was reading, said that he didn't want to take a pay cut yet either. So that looks like it's kind of dead in the water. And as you say, again, if we can get the best out of the strikers we've got through injury and otherwise, then we should have a pretty potent attack.
If you've got McCormack, Kodja, Hogan, Gabby if he gets himself right, then plus Hepburn Murphy and Keenan Davis, who looked very good on the last day of the season against Brighton. And I was interested actually that he went to Portugal and Hepburn Murphy didn't, so maybe he's ahead of him in the pecking order, more of a Bruce type player, a big, strong lad. That's 6 strikers there. We don't need another striker. They should all be capable of scoring goals.
I was just trying to check your maths there.
Yeah, it was 6, I think. Bar the youngsters, the other 4 should be capable of scoring goals in the Championship.
Yeah, and I agree. I like the mix there of young and old as well.
And also, they're all different types of players. I said before, I could see McCormack and Hogan getting on and hitting it off on the pitch because they're clever footballers. I know Villa fans may take umbrage with McCormack and what he's done. I don't even know if umbrage is a word, actually.
No, it is. It's a word. It's a great word. Well done.
Where did that come from?
Gideon umbrage.
I do not know where that came from. I know people may not like McCormack, but he looks fit.
Yeah.
He looks fit, and I think the club are pleased with him.
Yeah, I think we need to give him another chance because last year was a complete write-off, one way or the other. However you look at it, it was a footballing write-off. If he can get everything sorted, then we need to get behind him and let him give his best shot.
It sounds like last season was a write-off for most our strikers.
Yeah, fair.
Except for Kodja.
I've got one more update from Portugal.
Yeah, okay.
Birkir Bjarnason.
Yeah, I watched that before we came on.
Yeah. He wants to deliver hard work and goals. It kind of feels like a new signing a little bit, doesn't it?
Right, Steve Bruce. That's what Steve Bruce
said. Is it? Is that what he said?
Exactly what he said in his interview, saying you didn't watch it.
I definitely haven't watched it. So he's only played 8 games so far, 29 from FC Basel. It could be a new signing, couldn't it, really?
For me, in those 8 games, I'd say in 4 of those games, he got himself into a good position and could have had a goal. So there's a player there. I'm going to make an outlandish statement. I reckon he'll hit double figures.
Wow.
If he gets in the team and has a run of games, he'll hit double figures.
Shall I write that down?
He's a goal scorer. Steve Bruce said the same thing. He gets himself into goal scoring positions. And we've talked about it before. Midfielders nowadays, they don't get in the box when we spoke to Ian Taylor, he said he scored so many goals from midfield because he got into the box, and people don't do that anymore. And Bjarnason gets himself in the box, gets himself into dangerous areas. He's done well for Iceland at international level. He should score goals. He's another one who I feel like I say this about everyone. He should score goals in the Championship, because you'd think he's joined Villa. Because Basel are always in the Champions League, aren't they? Pretty much.
Certainly used to be. I don't know if they're as much of a force as they used to be.
They usually qualify for Europe. Anyway, so he's left a reasonably big side.
I mean, he's a bit of a journeyman. I was looking at his Wikipedia profile before we came on, and he's played at a handful of clubs already at 29, kind of 7 or 8 clubs, I think. So he's been around. It'd be nice for him to sell. As I say, 29 years old, kind of the prime of his career, and hopefully we can get the best out of him this year.
I wouldn't think he'd want to spend too long in the Championship. He'll want to crack at the top level in England. I would have thought that will be why he's come to England. No player comes to England to play in the Championship. They want to play in the Premier League. So in his mind, he's either got to play well enough to fire Villa up the league, or if he's playing well and Villa don't do well, he'll want to move somewhere else. What
I want to do next week is maybe we should go through the squad and just kind of hit or miss, as it were, and see where we're going to trim and where we're not. But that's for next week.
We need to trim.
That's a little teaser.
We definitely need to trim. It's too big. At the moment, Veritu's still there. I'm pleased to see him there, because he was one of the ones I thought might not turn up for pre-season, but he's there and he looks like he's having a good time. Looked like he was enjoying John Terry's initiation last week on Instagram. So he's one who we're probably going to have to sell because we need the money. But again, there's this thing with Villa where clubs don't want to pay what players are worth. In this transfer market nowadays is madness, but we don't seem to have really profited from it.
Yeah,
I
think I read. I can't remember if I saw something from you or someone else who said that Villa just hadn't worked out the transfer market very well. We'd bought high and sold low. Maybe it was last week actually. We might have already talked about
when we let go of Delph, that ridiculous clause that we put in his contract, like at that time, English players are going for a premium. They're going for massive money, and we lose Delph for 8 million. Like, it's just a scandal.
Yeah,
that's scandalous, and we've just not cottoned on, have we? Like Garner went for about the same price, 8 million to Everton, and then would now, if he was to be sold, would go for 25, 30.
Yeah,
probably. Like, I think you're right. We just haven't got it right in the transfer market, and I think that's one of the things that the owner was alluding to in some of his tweets. He's still cleaning up the mess. They still can't believe some of the stuff that they've inherited. So there'll be a lot of messes there that we don't know about. Now they're cleaning up.
I want to test your memory. Dan is an infamous no notes kind of guy, although he has got a page of notes here. Last week you said that you wanted to talk about something in particular. Oof. And you didn't write it down. I said you should. And do you remember what it was?
Was it the right backs?
Well, yeah, you're in the right part of the pitch.
Was it which right back we should start the season with?
It was more just generally about one right back / right midfielder /
Bacuna.
Yeah.
He's off in international duty at the moment, isn't he?
He certainly is.
Is it the Gold Cup or something?
Yes.
I thought the Gold Cup was sailing, but obviously there's a footballing Gold Cup. Is the Gold Cup sailing? What am I thinking of? The American Cup.
America's
Yeah, that's
Cup.
what I'm thinking of. I think maybe he's playing in the American
Cup. The Gold Cup's horse racing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, best mate, the Villa horse.
Yeah.
He's playing in some kind of tournament, anyway, for his country. Again, I can't pronounce the country he's playing for, which is very disrespectful of me.
Yes.
Caracau? You can't pronounce it either. You've agreed that it's disrespectful and then not pronounced it yourself.
Oh, I might have pronounced it spot on. You don't know.
That's true, but yeah, I can tell by your face that you don't know.
Keep him, sell him. What would you do with Leandro Bacuna?
I don't think we get mega bucks for him. I think he's useful because he can play in a number of positions, but then you kind of think he's from that squad that got relegated, that we've weaned out most of those players now who were a big part of that squad that went down, and he was a part of that. He redeemed himself last season. I thought he had a decent season last season. I think he was probably in our top 6-7 performers over the course of the season. I think we probably won more than we lost when he was in the team. But he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, isn't he? Really, or a back of all trades.
Oh, very nice.
Master of none. To me, his best position's still right back, and
I feel like
we're well
stolen
stocked
that
there.
from somewhere.
I haven't made that up.
Well done.
We're well stocked at right back, as we spoke about before. So if anyone came in for him, then he'd probably be one that we'd sacrifice. But I do think Steve Bruce has got a bit of a soft spot for him because he played him more often than not.
Yeah, and I think he is pretty useful, like you say. And if you're not going to get the money that he's probably worth more to Villa by keeping him than selling him.
Yeah, probably.
This will be interesting. Next week's exercise for who you get rid of is going to be interesting, because I feel like there's a lot of those players that are quite good to have around, but that's how you get a bloated and overspend on wages. So
yeah, and we have got a bloated squad, as I've said 3 times.
We'll have to work on that
already in this podcast. He lets himself down a bit, Bakuna, because obviously, I mean, I think I gave him a really hard time in my blogs and whatever when he made that Champions League comment. But I imagine what he said was taken out of context, and it just came at a horrific time for Villa fans when that was the last thing they needed to hear. So he got a lot of stick, which probably wasn't deserved. And I hold my hands up and say I was one of those ones that gave him a lot of stick, and that was out of order. I forgot what I was going to say, where I was going with that point. But again, last season he started to build inroads, and in the last game of the season he has a full-on tantrum on the pitch and stands still and doesn't move for a couple of minutes, and then the fans start to boo him again because he looks like he's got a bad attitude. And I don't think he has got a bad attitude. I just think he wears his heart on his sleeve perhaps a bit more than he should do.
Yeah.
I think he gets fed up of moving positions probably, which as a professional footballer probably is a bit annoying, because he's probably got in his head a position that he thinks is his best. I'd probably say he would maybe say central midfield's his best area, but I still think his best spells have been at right back, and when he doesn't offer you enough in terms of goals and assists when he's in midfield for someone who is a box-to-box player who can carry the ball.
I think that's a good point. You are sitting there, Dan. Pride of place in front of you is a lovely little tidbit that you picked up this weekend. Do you want to tell us a little bit more? Maybe show the camera what you've been enjoying.
I'm not going to go into too much detail because we did spend some time on Monday at Villa Park doing a kit review video of the home and the away shirt, but I brought it with me, the away one, just to show the Villa View podcast public in case they don't end up seeing that video, if there is people who only watch the podcast.
Sorry, podcast listeners, you can just imagine what Dan Bardell
they know what it looks like anyway.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I mean, this is the first time you've seen it.
Yep.
They're a lot better in the flesh than they look on the picture. I don't think the pictures do them justice. I think they look nice on the pictures, but I think when you've got one in front of you, they're top draw.
I must say, last week on the podcast I said I wasn't particularly impressed with either shirt. Seeing the black shirt, I've come full circle on it. It feels nice. It looks great. I love this. The kind of across the top there, the kind of banding. And the Unibet logo, I said last week, I thought looked too small. I still think it looks a little bit small on the claret shirt, but it actually works on the black perfectly because the banding takes away a lot of the empty space as well.
Well, it's just, that banding there?
Yeah.
Well, as I say, it's important to say they're both the same cut, the home and the away shirt, and they're exactly the same collar and stuff like that. What I did notice that we didn't notice in the kit review video is if you pull that there, some kind of weird spider web pattern, which I'm not really sure. You won't be no way you'll be able to see that on the video, but there is some kind of weird spider web pattern. I'd like to know what that is, if anyone could answer the question. And again, maybe it's just like a reflection of the inside. I've just realised.
Maybe Peter Parker actually wore.
Anyway, let's not go too much into detail.
I do like
people
this.
Can't see.
Matt. Again, the video's coming out very soon.
The video should be out imminently, possibly even today for those watching on a Wednesday.
Well, you won't be able to get this until.
Wednesday.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
So, try to be a smart ass.
Yeah, I really did.
You and you look silly.
So Matt made a really good point. The passion, pride, purpose is still across the neckline again, and I think that looks really, really smart. And a nice kit, Unibet and Under Armour. Well done.
Make sure you check out that video when it does come out, the kit review, because we'll be telling you everything you need to know about that shirt, and it is filmed at Villa Park, so it's quite a special video for us. Whenever we get to go to Villa Park, it's always an honour and a privilege. And
you didn't just go to Villa Park this weekend, though?
No, so the Villa View actually went to Bodymoor Heath on Sunday. People are probably aware because, to be fair, Matt and I are social media whores and we have plastered it all over social media, as has Dan Rolinson on the Villa View.
Nobody was jealous at all, no.
No, I think it's important to say at this point, I did see a few people question, it was convenient that Matt and Dan were there, but there was other fan groups invited as well, mainly the ones that are part of the fans consultation group. So that's why we were invited there along to the kit launch. And it was just a great event. Obviously, people will know by now that Emil Heskey, Stilian Petrov, Dean Saunders and Dion Dublin were there for big characters of Aston Villa and big characters in football in general. And there's just a five-a-side tournament at Bodymoor Heath. So that video will also be coming out soon. I've seen a bit of it today, and which I showed a bit to you as well. I think it's a good watch.
Yeah,
I think it's very entertaining.
It's very funny.
So it's just a great event. I think it's important to say that Unibet there have done something that no other sponsor has done before, Because sponsors of Villa before, I can't think of anything they've offered us other than having their name on the shirt.
I was gonna raise that point actually. They have from the outset made a very clear impression that they want to put the fans first.
Yeah.
That they want to give fans these crazy opportunities if you think about it.
It was a crazy opportunity, and the guys that had won the competition to be there couldn't believe that they were there. They were absolutely, as was I.
I mean,
they were absolutely delighted.
Some of them got to play with Dan Bardell, so I mean,
I don't think that would have been an honour and a privilege if you look at the footage.
I won't ruin it. There is one point where Dan's playing in goal for this game, and he goes to pick out a pass to one of these players. I won't tell you who it was.
And, they know I was with Hesker.
So of course they do. Well, yeah. Well, he. I mean, you overhit it somewhat.
I had a dream, and it didn't work. I really, because Heskey's obviously such a big target, man. I was taking a goal kick, and I was just like, everyone was like, pass it short, and I thought, no, I'm going to hit the big man. And I just completely overhit it. He went flying. He was not happy. He was fuming.
Dan, you just hear, Route 1! And then send it so far wide, Emil Heskey, who you're right, is a big target, can control the ball well. Couldn't get anywhere near that ball.
I mean, let's be fair, he played for Aston Villa for 3 or 4 seasons, so he's probably accustomed to that level of service, to be fair. But Heskey was great.
Yeah.
He comes across very shy, like when you've seen him interviewed in the past and stuff, but he's really, really funny.
Yeah.
Really funny guy. Yeah, obviously, everyone knows that Petrov and Dion and Dino are all jokers, but Heskey was a real joker as well, so make sure you check out the Villa View footage when that does come out, because it is a really, really good watch, I think.
Definitely.
And it's important to mention that Matt Lynch has had another nightmare.
Yeah, I wasn't going to stitch him up, but Matt Lynch has an interesting game. We'll
interesting day.
We'll leave it to the Villa View. To be fair, if you watch the Unibet the promotional video,
he's the star of the show.
Dion Dublin is just like this, walking along. Matt Lynch, he's got the cat that's got the cream.
Dion Dublin. I mean, I said to Matt, did you really speak to Dion that much? He was like, no, because every time I was speaking to him, he just started picking me up and throwing me around.
Wow.
Dion took a shine to young Matthew.
And if you haven't read it as well, Martin Lawrence was also there. He was working. He works for Unibet and The Guardian, and he did a really nice little write-up of the day, which is very funny as well.
Yeah, Matt Kendrick was playing as well from the Birmingham Mail. He had an interesting day as well. There's some special Matt Kendrick footage to come on the video. It's probably worth watching it just for Matt Kendrick, in fairness. So
there's a lot of Villa View YouTube content coming up soon, so stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you are subscribing if you aren't already.
With your post notifications on?
Of course.
Yes. Should we get some questions on, Tom? Because it's 32 minutes in and we haven't really...
I quite enjoyed that, though. It was a nice long chat.
It's gone fast. I've got to make sure I go from the right place. I don't think everything's loaded. So, start off with Scotty Edwards on the YouTube comments of last week's podcast. Said, agree with Dan's diamond selection. Gets our best players on the field. And I think that was my main point with that. Grealish at number 10 will get Hogan firing. If not, it has to be 4-3-3. Bree, Taylor, Chester, Terry, Hourahan, Jedinak, Lansbury, Green, Codger, Hogan. Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said there. We did plan to do a tactics video, but we've decided to wait until we know what our squad is. I
think that makes sense. We'll have a little look at the tactics nearer the season start, I guess, when the squad is more settled.
I'll let you read the next comment.
Another Jack Jennings, another great podcast. Tom improving fast, but Dan will always be number one. Yeah. I feel like they pander to you a little bit. I feel like
I get some right stick on social media.
Yeah, that's true. I will say you have had some stick for your fashion faux pas.
Yeah.
You look great in the black Aston Villa.
Slimming, isn't it? Black. It's very very hot in black. Though, as well in the sun. It was a very sunny day on Sunday, but yeah, I think to be honest, this shirt, I'll get it out again. I think it'll look good on most people. It's a really, really nice shirt.
Yeah,
it's a top drawer shirt. Well done, Under Armour.
Pre-order now. Jack Jennings, thanks very much for that. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Jack.
At least I'm improving. Tom Cowley says I would say 45 minutes is good for the podcast length, I assume. But if you start running out of time, anything up to an hour is decent. Good.
Don't worry about boring us. I love to hear what the pair of you have to say.
Oh, thank you very much, Tom.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate that. Ian Lane, enjoyed the podcast. Really enjoyed the Brian Little interviews, which are still available to watch, obviously, on YouTube.
Yeah.
You'd like to see other interviews, perhaps when the international breaks are on. Nice. Yeah, well, we're always trying to get other interviews, aren't we? So
we're working on things as usual. But
stay tuned. Yeah, of course it is.
I think people just perhaps aren't aware of us fully, and maybe people don't take YouTube in general as seriously as maybe it should be taken.
It's
I don't know.
Changing
it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough to organise, but we will we do our best for the Villa View public, so we are trying to sort some stuff out.
I wasn't finished
Oh,
reading
sorry,
this
I
one
was
yet.
just working along.
Ian also says, exciting times ahead, and I'm really buzzing for the prospect of this coming season. I've been hoping for great things down the Villa since my first matches as a school kid in 1968. This coming season will be up there with the best of them, and keep the faith. Villa till I die.
Love that, Ian. Love the positivity.
Yeah. Do you want to go on that one?
Yeah, I feel like we've answered that question before. What is your
Favourite
favourite ever Villa goal?
Yeah, I think we have. I definitely remember the bicycle kick against Birmingham. We've definitely talked about that before.
Moor Atletico Madrid was my favourite one. I think that was a stunning
That was from
strike.
KB 2001. Jack Hurley. I agree with the viewpoint about how beneficial Terry will be for Grealish and the young lads. Touched on that earlier as well. I know social media is not a good metric to measure by, but whenever I see Villa post anything Terry related, it's always liked by Jack Grealish. He genuinely seems excited for the season.
Yeah, well, he hasn't gone back yet, has he, Grealish? He's still on a break because of international duty for the under-21s, where he unfortunately didn't get a single minute.
Yeah.
But he will. He needs, as I said last week, I think I said it, he needs someone to look up to. I think I've said it on some kind of Villa View video before.
And I don't necessarily see the fact that he didn't play very much in the under-21s as a massive problem. I think maybe that, again, might be a little kick, especially after the off-season he had a year or so ago when he was the belle of the ball, really. This might be the kind of kick that he needs to really get firing and get going again and have a massive season for Villa.
Yeah, I think he gets too much stick, Grealish. I agree that he's probably not performed to the... No, I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
I agree he's not performed to the levels he's capable of, but I think he gets a real hard time. And as I've said before, I know that he genuinely loves the club.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just like to see the best of him, I think.
Rob Henry's mentioned Grealish, actually. He says, has Grealish missed out by not being in Portugal? I think he's a popular guy in the dressing room, and the dressing room seems very close. So I think he'll integrate straight back in. He's that kind of kid. But Rob Henry's also asked, what pie is best? You mentioned a pie connoisseur.
I love pies, yeah.
What's your best pie?
So one of my favourite foods, I don't know if this counts really, is cottage pie. It's not a traditional kind of in a foil, but I really like cottage pie. If I had to go for a foil...
Which one's the cottage pie guy? I always get cottage pie and shepherd's pie confused.
Well, shepherd's is lamb, isn't it? Because shepherds look after lamb. You'll remember that forever.
That's a valid point.
Yeah, steak and ale would be my pub pie of choice.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. The cottage and the steak and ale, that's a good choice.
I'm definitely up to 6 out of 10
the
now.
Pie connoisseur. But again, you show knowledge on things that are nothing to do with football, which is not helpful in a football podcast.
Given the choice, championship title or playoff final win over the Blues? That's from Luke Hatfield.
Luke Hatfield from the Express and Star.
Yes.
I believe. Yep. That's a good question, but I don't know. I don't think my heart would tolerate a playoff final win against Blues as much as I'd like the end game. The build-up to would be just too much.
It would be nerve shredding the whole game.
Championship title for me.
Yeah, I think so too.
Plus, I was thinking about this earlier when I first read this question. I haven't seen us win anything since 1996.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I've only ever seen us win 2 things in my life at 31 years of age. You know, we won 2 League Cups within a matter of 3 years. And I thought, this must happen all the time. This is just something that happens to Villa, the team I love and support every few years. But 2017, that doesn't happen very often.
Time's ticking. Time's ticking for Dan.
Yeah. I want to see some silverware.
Songs for the players to come out to. I think we've talked about this before. I think we talked about this last week.
Did you see that Villains Ho, Tony's right-hand man, tweeted about they want the fans to choose the music for the new season, so it's become more relevant again. I liked the Craig Armstrong Escape that we used to come out to. I've said that before. Yeah,
I liked it too. I didn't know what it was called, and I was just going to say the music that kind of sounds like Champions League music.
Yeah, I'd go for that person. That's my favourite. And he's asked about this has come from Lob, who comes on fan cams quite a lot with his kid. So obviously I haven't seen him for a few months. So hello, Lob. He says, do we stick with the Don't Look Back in Anger? I'm not sure.
No.
I think it's probably run its course.
That's a Manchester anthem, and I see why we've done it, but it's not for me.
Yeah. Big Max Roberts, or actually Small Max Roberts, now has said, I would love a question of mine to be answered. Only choose one, Melberg or Larson. Unfortunately for him, he spelt Melberg wrong, but I'm not going to give him too much stick.
I mean, you called him out on it. So
yeah, I've called
that's
him
enough.
Out. Melberg.
Yeah, me too.
I say it's tight, and I loved Martin Larson to bits, but Melberg's just absolute ledge.
Yeah, Martin Larson just didn't
play enough.
Didn't play enough, did he? Whereas Melberg became a proper fan favourite, proper cult hero, and cemented himself.
Yeah, Josh Amblin, the Sultana King. on Twitter said, which right back should start the season, in your opinions?
Why is he the Sultana King?
I don't know. We'll have to get. Tell us why you're the Sultana King, please.
If you could be the king of anything, I don't think sultanas or raisins or
no, it's not very
dried
ambitious.
grapes.
It's not very ambitious, is it? But he's obviously got his reasons. Hopefully, we'll find out. Bree should start as right back, in my opinion, because he's the future. And if we're going to be playing a more attacking brand of football, he's the best going forward out of him, Hutton, and Delat. And Steve Bruce said himself that Delat's going to take some time, and Hutton's future's very much up in the air at the moment. So Bree for me.
I like Delat, but I think Bree probably deserves it. As I said last week, I think that the time has come for Alan Hutton. If there was an opportunity to shed some squad players, then he'd be one of them.
Yeah, he's also said, how did Lord Heskey play yesterday? Unbelievably. Absolutely brilliant. Still in good condition, an absolute unit, and a very, very funny man. And then he says, finally, don't forget to mention Harewood in the pod. So that's done now, so thank you. You've let Big Marlon get a mention. I think that's 7 out of 8 weeks. Marlon's
keep the faith.
Made it onto the
keep
podcast
the faith
now.
With Marlon.
Paul Tipton on Twitter. I'll let you do this one because I'm taking over again.
Oh, that's fine. I haven't seen this one and I haven't really thought about it at all.
I do it
well,
then?
no, I can read it.
Oh.
I can still read.
Yeah.
Random question 1, best player haircut. Is this Villa players or any player? I don't really care.
Wow, Haley, don't hammer him. He wants to know.
That's not. Well, yeah, but I honestly couldn't care less about anybody. So I'm going to go with John Terry's because he hasn't got that much of it.
It's got to be Grealish, hasn't it? Similar to my hairstyle. It's got to be Grealish.
It's a very interesting point that Dan took this hairstyle. It must be said when Grealish started to play. So I think maybe a little bit of a imitation game there.
In my mind, I had it first, but
not sure about that.
No, I'm not sure either.
How did you meet? Well, me and you?
Yeah, I speak to Dan Rolinson about this earlier. I was like, I hope Tom can remember because I actually can't. I know where we met, but I don't remember that initial first meeting. We met at work.
Well, yeah, obviously we went. I think so. I started work a year or two later than you.
Nah, mate, I've been at Sky for 10 years.
I've been here. Well, I suppose I was here about 6. Okay. So I think we played football. I think it was 5-a-side. We must have played in the same because you must have come down to media management, played a bit.
Played football.
I come from the library.
I think you actually were working with Ange, my wife, and I think she said, there's a Villa fan in my office. So I came down, not just because of that. I came down anyway to say hello, and then we just started talking.
That might have been it.
I believe that's what's happened.
It was definitely at work, whatever, Paul.
Whatever happened, it probably wasn't that memorable because neither of us could actually put our finger on how it happened.
Needless to say, we never thought we'd be in a small audio description booth doing a podcast together.
No.
Which player are you most excited about next season? That's a good question.
Andre Green, for me. I think he showed glimpses of what he's capable of, and I think with the running the team, he'll do a job. I actually think he could play in the diamond formation and play beyond the front too.
Yeah.
I think he's good enough to play there.
Yeah, I'm excited about all the youngsters. I don't feel like I quite know them enough to be really.
You don't have to be a young player. You can pick someone else.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm thinking the Bjarnason. We've talked about him. I'd like to see him play more and better. I'd like to see Grealish. I'd really like to see the best of Grealish again. I'm just excited about the team. Actually, I'm excited about how Bruce has talked about wanting to attack more, play more quality football. I feel like we've been starved as Villa fans of quality attacking, flowing football for a little bit. So I'm just excited to see a team unit again.
As Villa fans, we've been starved of most things that are any good that you go and watch football for.
Yeah.
Really, haven't we? To be fair, do you want to give a shout out to Paul Tipton because he always comments on our stuff. Always nice to hear from him.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Are you pleased with the players that we've been linked with? Whelan, El Amadi, etc. From Ed Clare, Ed AVFC 2000. Neither of those excite me at all, actually. I'm more excited about Joe Ledley if he was to come in.
I don't think he's coming.
No, but and then
even then he's not that exciting.
He's not exciting.
Got a nice beard.
He's more exciting than Glenn Whelan.
I thought Joe Ledley was playing the game at Bodymoor on Sunday actually because there was a guy that looked just like him.
Really?
Yeah, on one of the teams.
If we get Bjarnason back, then we've actually got that beard and Jedinak as well. So we've got that bearded combination.
He's got a bit of a beard as well. I think has he? Yeah, he has. El Amadi doesn't excite me. I don't think he's a good player.
No.
But if he does come, the important thing is I will get behind him and then probably slate him when he's no good.
Yeah.
That's
and then have to make some grovelling apology.
Typical Villa fan.
I've got a question for you before we go on to the next one. If you could pick a player from who's retired now to strengthen the current Villa team, which player would you pick? So you can pick any ex-Villa player that's retired.
Any.
But and that could strengthen the team.
I'm trying to think where we're worst. Probably Merson.
Yeah?
Yeah, because we don't create loads of chances, and Merson would create a lot of questions. I think Merson, other than possibly Maguire, is the most talented player I've seen play for Villa. He was just a natural footballer. Yeah, I'd probably go Merson. What about you?
I think Mark Bosnich, probably.
You know what? He crossed my mind.
Yeah?
Bosnich, but Merson. I've gone with Merson and Bosnich.
Anyway, yeah, good question from me.
Well
Joe,
done,
at 95JSM, what are your thoughts on the possibility of signing Peter Crouch? You've touched on that.
Yeah.
Ed Clare, again, with the right mentality, do you think the squad actually needs much more additions? Again, no. I think the fact that you mentioned there, were we excited with these other players? Not really.
Yeah, because they're not better than what we've got.
Exactly, and we've already talked about the squad being bloated, so actually we just need to cut off a little bit and streamline and be quality in what we do.
Yeah, this is a good question. Carl Palmer, another regular question asker and interactor with the Villa View. Couldn't think of a word then.
Great.
He said, if Tony Jara plays Johnson at table tennis and Bruce plays golf with Terry, what sport would you play and with who?
Have you thought about this?
Yeah, I've wrote one down.
So I read this question earlier, and it's probably my favourite question that we've got so far. And then my afternoon got very, very busy, and I haven't really thought about it. Come on, you do yours first, and I'll...
Is that because you haven't got an answer?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've got to think of mine now.
Beer pong with Jack Grealish. Is that sport, beer pong?
You can have it, yeah.
I'll go with that. I'll go with beer pong with Jack Grealish.
It's not an Olympic sport yet. But,
it's a good game, it's fun.
Yeah. Are you good at beer pong?
All right, actually. I wouldn't advise anyone under the age of 18 to play it, but
no,
I'm pretty handy.
I'm trying to think what kind of sports I like that's not really... like my first...
You like your NFL, don't you?
Yeah, I do like NFL.
You've been pleased with me yesterday. I had a Miami Dolphins t-shirt and I wore that to Bodymoor on Sunday.
I'm very pleased with you. Well done.
Yeah,
okay. I'd probably chuck a ball around with someone like Sam Johnston. I imagine he's got a pretty good arm on him.
Yeah, probably. I can't believe that's the most exciting thing you can think of.
It's not. I'm sorry, Carl. I haven't done that question justice, and I apologise that.
That's it for the questions.
Good.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, we're up to a nice 45 minutes.
Didn't talk about Tommy Elphick possibly going to Blues.
That'd be a shame, but I don't.
It hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I don't see. It's a shame for anyone to have to go to Birmingham, but if you want to play regular football and
hopefully he doesn't go there though, because you just know he'll go there and suddenly become a world beater.
Yeah.
Under Harry Redknapp.
Well,
Max Roberts will be crying into his signed Tommy Elphick jersey if that happens.
Has he got one?
He loves Tommy Elphick. Yeah, I was there when he got it signed after the Fulham game. Yeah, he'll be devastated. Fan cam's regular. Max will not be happy. I think it's actually framed on his wall.
Really?
I'm sure he put something about that. So that'll have to go in the bin, Max. That was money well spent on that frame.
Sorry about that. Yeah. We've got loads more content, as we've said, coming up on the Villa View on the YouTube channel. Podcast is obviously carrying on, and there's football. Tonight it will be, I suppose, when you download this podcast. Yeah. So make sure you enjoy that on YouTube, whichever, one game or two games. And next week we'll be able to actually talk about more and more football. Yeah,
I just want to say a quick thanks to everyone that does watch our stuff, watch the podcast, listen to the podcast, and watch the Villa View stuff in general, because without that, Matt and me wouldn't be doing things like we were doing on Sunday, being at Bodymoor Heath, being asked to cover that and show the Villa faithful what we're up to. So hopefully in the future, I mean, to be fair, there's people watching this will probably be thinking, oh, that's great, you get to go.
I didn't get to go.
Yeah, that's true. That's great. We watch your stuff and you get to go. But we do try to provide you with the best content that we possibly can, and it's not our full-time job, so we put as much into it as we can for you in our spare time, and hopefully in the next 12 months we'll be able to get some stuff that we can get subscribers involved in that will be really cool. And obviously with Unibet now as well, they've got a chance of getting involved in the club, because Unibet really are pushing that message forward. So thanks ever so much for everyone. I can't explain how much it means to us all. So thanks for all your support. There's nothing I can add to that. That's brilliant. So yeah, keep subscribing, keep reviewing, post notifications on. Yeah. And we'll see you next week. Take care. Cheers. Bye. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.